So this video is not in any way supposed to be a misogynistic video. This video is not for you if you basically hate women. This video is for you if you're considering the fact that the sexual revolution is actually causing problems, and instead of us to like fight against the sexual revolution, we need a way to work around it. Because the key thing here in life is if you force things to happen, you're wasting your time. But if you find your way to be like water, where you flow around new challenges, you can then overcome these new problems. So yes, sexual revolution, right, was about the whole idea of second wave feminism, where women wanted to be seen to be equal as men. But the problem was caused by people who took things too far, right? And if you've been following me for a while, you get to realize that one of the best ways to think is that nothing is good, nothing is bad. Everything serves a purpose. So yes, sexual revolution caused a lot of things, like a lot of sexual habits to be displayed, promiscuity, prostitution, hookup culture. But one thing you should realize is it has kept a lot of young boys very, very distracted. Now think about it. Now it may be in your 20s, because according to my analytics, you're between 18 to 35. So that means is you understand some lingos here, right? You understand to some extent, you already have some experience. Now think about it. Think about 10-year-old kids being exposed to adult content, 10-year-old boys. To be very honest, most of them are going to stay like that, keep being exposed, keep consuming this content till God knows how much of this adult content has destroyed so many men. Like I read the story of a man who was 60 who said he has basically played with himself for I think almost every single day, or even not every day, for about 40 to 50 years. Now he just feels wasted, he feels useless. Like zoom out and realize that this is going to be the reality for a lot of young boys. So I figured that we as men, we need to come together to know how we can navigate this current landscape. So I have a couple of tips here, right? And that point is we still need to come together, because it's like men will become stronger if we build a community for other men to come together. So let me just highlight a couple of problems here, then a couple of solutions that I think, a couple of tips. But in the very end, what we're leading towards is creating a community. One problem is sex has been weaponized. Like I said, a lot of young boys are distracted. And sex being weaponized is not for the sake of women. And I've zoomed out and realized that the people who benefit from the sexual revolution are not the women. It's always a select few men, right? Some women kind of, but to be very frank, just monetary gains. And to be very frank, monetary gains in the arms of women is not really a benefit. I'm sorry, say what you want to say. We can debate it, but it's talk for another day. There's a couple of men who benefit from this thing. Now, the women don't benefit, the men don't benefit from the sexual revolution. But what kind of men really benefit from this sexual revolution? We'll get back to it. We have boys who are being distracted. You see that distraction? Where a lot of boys don't know where they stand as men. A lot of boys are basically told down to tear down their masculinity. If you look around and look at what modern masculinity looks like, you'll be shocked. Although yes, we are slowly having this movement of men becoming much more integrated, right, into society while still being masculine. Although there are different movements, quite alright, but we need a new breed of men, and these men have to come together. Now, their job is not to save the entire world, because that would mean that the world is in chaos. But no, it's a group of men that will lead, that have a common vision, that's leading towards something. Because I feel like men right now, their first tribes, right, it's going to be more on the internet before a physical space. So let's see how we can create that digital space for more men. Another point out here is the fact that teenagers in relationship is a serious problem. Because when you're dating as a teenager, what do you really understand about the point of relationships? Let's zoom out, right? Relationships, to some very extent, what do they really lead to? The aim originally was to lead to long-term companionship, quite alright. That is, you get married and you're in it for the long term. You have a vision that two of you are working towards. But if you zoom out and look at things in relationships, and mind you, when I was a teenager, I never dated anybody. And that was because I zoomed out, I realized that there's so many things that cost you, right? There was fear. I would say, to be very frank, I had a very few women, right? But I didn't have the ones that I wanted. So just in case somebody wants to shame me for it, I'm being open with it already. At the same time, right, I had advice from uncles who told me to not get into a relationship as a teenager, even as 18, because they made me realize something. And I always tell one advice I tell people is surround yourself with people you want to be like. So all of my life, I grew up around masculine men. So when I got into university, I got the idea of feminine boys. So that's it. Now, back in the days, there's a reason that divorce is on the increase right now. And if you get to dig down into the deepest root of things, is the fact that most people coming together don't have a common vision. They don't have a common goal. And speaking of a common vision, you need to have common beliefs and values, which people don't even check for in relationships, even in friendships. If your beliefs and values are not aligned, everything's going to waste. Over here, we now have a situation where men have been distracted. Society has overlooked it because they expect that the men should pick up. This is why I see that it's very important for men and boys. We need men to come together to portray themselves more on the internet. I mean, men who understand this concept and they understand that we're not supposed to force women to do anything. We're supposed to lead a generation of men towards a new world, basically. That means we have men who are more responsible, men who understand, okay, fine, I want to have this, so I have to act in a certain way. I want to be a contribution to society, so I have to act and think a certain way. Now, to be very frank, the manosphere was supposed to be a solution to this, right? Which I feel like there are a lot of people which I get back to, but all of a sudden, the manosphere got hijacked by red pill content creators who don't really understand, or they understand, or they know quite alright, but they do not really understand. So because they don't really understand, it's very difficult to give men practical advice. On two, in the very end, because of the amount of lies we have going around society, it's also very difficult for people to see the truth and understand the truth, which even makes it worse because a lot of the advice that works for women practically is advice that sounds misogynistic. That is why I said this video is not supposed to be misogynistic. But if you want me to discuss on that video about how you can use female nature to both your advantages, that is to the woman's advantage and to your own advantage, feel free, let me know in the comment section. I'll create something similar to that. Now, the kind of men that benefit from this thing, right, is, before I go into it, let's talk about this concept called hooflation ahead. Hooflation basically is, we need men to become better and better and better for them to just date the same kind of women. Now, to be very frank, this is not a misogynistic video, but one thing I'll say for sure is that women now are beginning to express what they want in men, right? And yes, the standards keep raising. But if you zoom out, those standards that keep raising, quote unquote, are things that you yourself can already have. For example, is six packs. Would you be happy to have six packs? Like, is it healthy for you to have six packs? Yes. Six figures. Would you be okay if you had six figures to provide for your family? Yes. What else? Now, some things you can't control, like 6 feet. Some people can't be 6 feet, right? But you have to look good. You can compensate by looking good. You can also have good social skills. Because to be very frank, I grew up, yes, I'm tall. Yes, I think I had a lucky gene pool. But I've seen guys who are short, but their confidence outweighed, they overcompensated with their confidence and their charisma, right? And so at that moment, I realized that my height is not really an advantage if my mind is not fixed. I must let you know that even there's no situation you have, being that I probably have not to some extent be able to relate to it. So the men who win here are the men who understand what they want, right? And they are focused. Now, at the same time, they can still take from the benefits of sexual revolution. So for example, sexual revolution has allowed us to have easy access to three kinds of women, which is the people you call hoes, the mistresses, and the wife materials. Each of these three of them, none is good, none is bad. They all play a role. And if you want to know the role they all play, start by having a vision. When you have a vision, it's easier for you to filter out the kind of women you want in your life at a given time. So if you're looking for fun, you know the kind of woman to go to. If you're trying, right, to settle down and build a family, a much more nice family, you get to realize that you know who to go. And for some reasons, the one that lies in between is called the mistress. And I don't want to go into deep into this. I can discuss that in a separate video. I'm trying to get into the benefits here. Now, it's not the fault of women, right? If you zoom out, you get to realize that all these things happening in terms of sexual revolution, at the same time, the decline of testosterone in men, at the same time, the decline of masculinity in men is really not the fault of women. If you zoom out properly, you discover that it is evolution doing its thing. It's a natural cause. So to understand this further, there was an experiment with rats, and this experiment was called Universe 25, where they will bring a group of rats together, put them in an environment. Obviously, it's a curated environment. Give them food, give them everything they want, and they've noticed that these rats they will grow in population. Everyone is happy, everyone is cheerful, everyone is having sex, everything's lousy, everything's good, everything's in abundance. All of a sudden, the population begins to decline, right? Until guess what? The last rat actually dies. So this experiment takes about 4 years or something for it to play out. And they've done this numerous times and they realized it's always had the same outcome. So people have different views to this, right? Right? When the population grows to a number, the amount of roles they have in a society or social roles that they have in a society, what happens is people feel unwanted, people feel useless. So in verse 25, I may just do a proper explanation on that, bit by bit, bullet point by bullet point, on how it can be much more to your advantage. Because the key word here is you should be able, as a well-rounded man, you should be able to turn anything to your advantage. Anything. Any problem to your advantage. Because everything has a good and a bad side. The bad side should not really be your business. You should be aware of it, but be able to act and take advantage of the good side. So now, when I say that a lot of boys are distracted, think about it. At what age do you think guys would really wake up and say, okay, this adult content, this behavior is not serving me? Most of them will never wake up. So you watching this video at this point, you're somebody who has realized that you need to take your life serious. You need to become a better person. And a couple of tips here is, and so that reminds me, is that there's been an ongoing debate about men and having high body count. Now, I'm a firm believer that men should experience a decent body count, but there's no objective figure. But the problem I see is that because of the sexual revolution, a lot of women who have low energy, they are very easy to sleep with. And to be very frank, as a man, I will almost never advise you to do that. Because trust me, I have been there on that particular spot. And it's not where you would want to be. But like I said, a lot of men have not had sex. So because they don't have sex, they are starved. And they will settle for almost anything. Now, to be very frank, it's not your job to fix anybody. It's not your job. And neither is it your job to go after low women. Because one, there's really no reward for going after them. Two is, to be very frank, at some point after having quite an amount of sex, I've gotten to realize that a high body count is not a thing that a guy should really brag about. Now, I can say this because I've been there. But if you have not been there, you're different. You should try it. There are reasons for that. There are reasons for you attending to that very, very soon, which I won't touch in this video. But if you want me to talk about it, let me know in the comment section, right? Because everything has benefits, right? So when you have sex with these low energy women, you feel drained at the end of the day. It's like, what did I just do? It's almost like you're taking advantage of somebody. Because it's almost like some of these people are not even in their right senses. And this thing came to me when one of my guys highlighted that I know a number of women that have daddy problems. I kept on wondering, why am I with so many women that have daddy problems? Well, all I can say is that I should make it a goal for me and my daughters to not have daddy problems. So I feel like I'm a strong believer that we need to bring back family. Now, at the same time, I'm not a monogamous person. I'm somebody who preaches polygamy as nature intended polygamy, but society came together and kind of realized that monogamy is the best thing for our imagination, which is very good, quite alright. But polygamy has always been what nature intended, and it is what we are going towards. Because, like I said, it is a very few men that will benefit from this sexual revolution. The men who understand what they want and who can bend it to their advantage. Now, a couple of solutions here, right, is that we need to have a new form of masculinity, the same way they call this in the new world era. We need a new word for masculinity, basically. My coffee there. We need a new arrangement for masculinity, and I feel like we need to start from our role models, right? Because there's a lot of chaos there. I think one day I'll take it upon myself to curate the guys who we should look out for. But I have a couple of guys who I consume who aim to give a balanced view, right, of this entire manosphere space. Is one, Rich Cooper. entrepreneurs in cars, eh, same person. That guy is pretty good. He will tell you, fine, that because most of the red pill content creators or the manosphere guys, they keep highlighting the problems. But anybody who can't highlight the problem and the solution is somebody who probably has something to sell you at the back. But Rich Cooper highlights the problem and the solution. Does he have things to sell to you? Yes. But it's because a lot of people will see his solution, but they want to understand deeper. So he offers things that are very wise. Yeah, his books are good. His ideas are solid. There's psych hacks. Psych hacks give you better practical ideas into psychology, and most especially psychology of women, which is very, very, very important. Because psychology of women will even help you in business than you think. And that person here is Whole Math. And these three guys are on YouTube. I don't want to create an extended list of accounts to follow. There's also 21 studios, right? These guys literally they bring a couple of men. So yes, some men they brought are men that have done some shitty stuff in the past, right? Which I think they regret. But 21 studios, regardless, those guys they are very good. They like to bring the proper ideas of manosphere into that place. Then have talking about a new breed of men. I feel apart from I can't pinpoint exactly what it's going to be, but one thing for sure I know is that we need well-rounded men, not men who are just rich. Because take it or leave it, we have bastardized the idea of being rich. In the past, people who were rich were people who got rich, a lot of them, and they built character with their wealth. But these days, everybody wants to get to 10k per month, 100k per month, fast. In that process, what happens? They build ego. So they assume that okay, now that I have the money, where are the girls? Now that I have the money, I can talk down on the girls. And trust me, I'll tell you as a guy, there is nothing as attractive as a guy who is rich and humble and playful and cheerful and social to the point where it's almost like see, I always tell people that if you have money, act like you don't have it. What would you do without it? If you can do everything you can do without money, money should be a thing to create extra experiences. So you want to travel, that is where the money comes in. But I'll tell you for sure that it is you will enjoy girls more, right? If you can actually talk to them and deal with them without money, you would enjoy them more. Because a lot of them will bring out their best part of you. Now, to be very, very frank, it's still very complex. Well, it's not really complex. There are a lot of nuances though, because gold diggers have a way of masking their manipulation tactics because they use the exact same manipulation tactics they use on other guys. So the idea here is for us to have a new breed of men. I'll say well-rounded men. And I think Rich Cooper has this idea of the seven spokes of a high-value man. And to be very frank, this idea of a high-value man, something that I really don't like because in most cases, they mostly only refer to externals. They barely refer to things like character, integrity, truth-seeking. Is he somebody we can trust? Is he somebody who we believe can lead us? We mostly optimize for things that are external, money, looks, status, and all of that. But in the very end, I feel like the well-rounded man, social, is going to be rich. He's going to be good looking. If he's short, if he did not win the lucky gene pool, he can compensate with going to the gym, maxing out his looks. And please, maxing out his looks at some point. There's a level of looks maxing. You end up looking like a diva more than a tough person. What else? Sociable. Financially, you are there. You can provide. You are very resourceful. Very resourceful does not mean money alone. It means that if you want to get something solved, right, because of the kind of reputation you have built, right, you can get it solved. And I think a basic formula for all of this, right, coming together in terms of being resourceful is one, acquire knowledge, acquire skills. I mean, we live in a world where these things are affordable these days. With your knowledge, you acquire skills. With your skills, you take it to people to provide value. You provide value, you get resources. From resources, with those resources, you get more people that obviously that gives you a job. Your network grows. When your network grows, you begin to establish a reputation. That is the simple formula for having a financial foundation. But that's not the point of this video. Also, what I'll tell you is, as a man, you should understand that you need to contribute to evolution. What I mean contribute to evolution is the world is progressing. So what is your contribution to the world's progress? Do you have to invent something? That is the whole idea of finding your purpose. That is the whole idea of being authentic to you. And you don't have to be this grandiose thing. Because I literally had a teacher who I'll say is one teacher that made me start to look for my voice. And I feel like that's his purpose, to help students, right, find their voice. And this is what happened. I was almost never a smart, no, I'll say I was an average student. But one thing I realized is I was always holding myself back as a as a smart student. I would always like to hang around the 10th position, 11th position. I don't like to go to literally, I don't like to be like the first five because it draws attention to me. I don't like to be at the back of the class because it makes me feel less than. So I always hang around 10th, 11th, 12th. He noticed. And one day I wrote my physics exam because he was my physics teacher. And he called me aside. And he was like, he never knew I was that smart. And obviously, the only reason I did that, I passed that course that well was because I was very much interested in light, sound, physics, gravity, and all of that, force, and everything. But he made me realize that why am I holding myself back? Because he sees me in class and never realized that. Because I wrote tests and trust me, I actually like wave those tests off. Like I will read for them, but sometimes I just give things up. Sometimes I literally see people who copy my work, right? Who come to meet me for answers in the exam or they ask me for answers. I give them answers. Some of them pass me. Like, is that crazy? But I really don't care. I really don't care. That's how I've always been in school. So, contribute to evolution. Society, I saw a tweet that blew my mind. A lady said, women punish weak men by giving them the kids of other men. And literally, other women went crazy. It's like, wow, that's true. And it dawned on me that, hold on. Women punish weak men by giving them the kids of other men. I figured that to some extent there's a level of truth in it. And whenever you see women fight or laugh at something, there's always an element of truth. Why a lot of women were reacting, some women were validating that point. And I'll discuss it further. I feel like let's discuss it later if you're interested. These are points I think we as men need to come together. Like I said, the most important thing here is that we guys, we are coming together. One other tip I'll say is you have to be intentional about life. Be intentional about every single aspect of life. Know what you want. Know what you want in life in terms of finances and everything. Know what you want in your own woman. Trust me, because whether I like it or not, you cannot see this thing. I love it about Jordan Peterson. You don't get what you don't aim at. You might get what you aim at, and your aim keeps getting better. The more you aim at, the more you move towards that aim. And what that means is that if you don't know what you want in a woman, if you don't know what you want out of life, it is next to impossible for you to hit success. So that was the entire point I really feel like I wrote down, that the sexual revolution is distracting more men, right? It's making men more more feminine than we can ever consider. And in the process, it's actually destroying women. So it's not like it's benefiting women, benefiting men in broad. It's just a couple of men who understand. And I feel next week, I'll be having this whiteboard where I'm showing you how you can actually benefit from feminism, how you can join these new elite men, these men that are well-rounded, these men that are much more integrated. These men know how to turn any disadvantage to their advantage. So I don't know how long this video was, but if you stayed this far, it shows that you are somebody who takes his life serious, and you're somebody who will consider joining a community of other men. If you're someone like that, please let me know in the comment section, and do me that favor of sharing this video, because you never can tell who else will actually benefit from it. Is that action of sharing this video that makes this channel grow, and at the same time make this movement of having this new set of men a possibility. So thank you very much for staying this far. You take yourself serious, and I must commend you for that. I'll talk to you soon. Let's talk in the comment section. Let's talk anywhere. My links, my social media links, and in the description. Bye for now.